page 104 or 5. So if you look at page 103, this is the title of the practice, the 4-session yoga of Lord Jigten Sumgön, known as the amassment of wisdom light. 4th session is referring to 4 parts of the waking hours. And in particular, these 4 parts of the waking hours is how people divide up the day for retreat. Like, in other words, during intensive practice. I think retreat is the wrong word to translate much of what people do when they are in retreat. Because we go on retreat at spas like this. But tam, to go into tam, to go into retreat, it's intensive practice. So these intensive practices, periods of time, intensive practice periods of time, the waking hours are divided into 4 parts. So then you do practices over 4 sessions. First session usually begins at 3, goes to 6 or 7, then breakfast, you go make your own food, in other words, clean up and everything. Then you start the second morning session till around lunchtime. Then you break lunch, and then you start an early afternoon, and then a late afternoon into early evening. Then people go to bed, like at 8, 9, get up at 2 to get ready to start at 3. So those are their 4 sessions. So what this means here when they say this is the Guru Yoga, the 4-session Guru Yoga, it doesn't mean that you only do this when you're in that kind of retreat. The connotation here is like continuous. So 4 session, as in all day long, you should do this Guru Yoga. So Guru Yoga is to become close to and to be unified with the wisdom mind that is embodied by the figure, or I prefer, that's just me, footnote, the principle of Guru. I think if we approach this notion of Guru first as a principle, and then over time, naturally, if it happens that way, connect with one or more than one human person that we naturally can look up to and consider them to be the goal that you're trying to reach, then there will be no problems. If you start off kind of infatuated with an image of somebody, you could run into problems. If you think Guru is some person, then I think it's a little slippery. Reality is that when back in the day where you live in a village maybe like this, and less movement from village to village, in some ways everyone has to live rather transparently, right? So if you see your village Lama, what you see is what you get, It's not what you see on Facebook. What you see on Facebook, deliberately or not deliberately, is all crafted. What you see on Zoom, deliberately or not deliberately, is just an image. But if the Lama, that's just down the village. Not only you know him, your last 4 generations have known his last 4 generations. So whether you have devotion or confidence to that person or not, it's not complicated, you know. You either do or you don't. Or somewhere in between. Probably more realistic, you know. But then when they don't behave in the way that you want, sometimes it's good. Other times, if they don't behave the way you want, you know, or the way you expect, you may lose confidence in them, but you will not sacrifice your confidence in Dharma. Because at the end of the day, that is still the most important thing, your confidence in Dharma. So a few days ago, we covered this topic called the 4 reliances. I don't know if there are recordings. Oh yes, there are the recordings. We discussed, you know, this kind of almost like seeming contradiction between a basic teaching called the 4 reliances, where it says rely on the teachings and not on the person, meaning the person giving us the teachings. On the one hand, you have things like that. On the other hand, it says without the guru, there's no liberation. I think often when lamas teach these 2 topics, they keep them completely separate. They talk about this, la 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 la. Some other days they talk about this, and then some of us are left in the place of going, what does that mean? So I tried, you know, maybe not so successful, to offer one way of understanding these 2 statements. So we covered that in the teachings at the stupa. So here, Guru Yoga means to unify our minds. And in order for our minds to unify with the wisdom mind, it's not like our confused mind can be unified with the wisdom mind. So in a way, right, to say that we unify our minds with the wisdom mind, it should not be taken literally that our confused mind can unify with the wisdom mind. So something has to happen with the confused mind. Okay? Exactly what happens, maybe, let's see. What needs to happen to the confused mind before it can be perfectly unified with the wisdom mind? So we see, you know, how that's done. So here, let's begin on page 105. So this is supplicating to the 4 kayas and recognizing the 4 kayas as our guru. What do you have there?
Thanks.
Okay. Yeah, put it. And no, put here. Don't use that to write text. Oh, Mother, sentient beings, limitless as the sky, take refuge in you, precious Guru Buddha. We supplicate you, Dharma, Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, clear like Dharmakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma, Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, perfect Sambhogakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma, Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings. We take refuge in you, Guru, compassionate Nirmanakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma, Lord Buddha, protector
protector of wandering beings, we take refuge in you, Guru, the actuality of the four kayas. We supplicate you, Dharma, Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings, we take refuge in you, Guru, all Mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, take refuge in you, precious Guru Buddha. We supplicate you, Dharma, Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings, we take refuge in you, Guru, clear like Dharmakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma, Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings, we take refuge in you, Sambhogakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma, Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings, we take refuge in you, Guru, perfection and Nirmanakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma, Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings, we take refuge in you, Guru, the actuality of the four kayas. We supplicate you, Dharma, Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings, all Mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, take refuge in you, precious Guru Buddha. We supplicate you, Dharma, Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings, we take refuge in you, Guru, clear like Dharmakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma, Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings, we take refuge in you, Guru, perfect Sambhogakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma, Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings, we take refuge in you, Guru, compassionate Nirmanakaya. We supplicate you, Dharma, Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings, we take refuge in you, Guru, the actuality of the four kayas. We supplicate you, Dharma, Lord Buddha, protector of wandering beings.
There's always improvements to be made. So here the fourth one, right? We take refuge in you, Guru. Here is translated as the actuality of the four kayas. It should, more and more I see that this should be translated as, we take refuge in you, Guru, the actuality of the fourth kaya, rather than four kayas. There's no mistake. It's not like, originally it was talking about up, now it's become down. But basically this is like four kayas. So the first is Dharmakaya, then Sambhogakaya, then Nirmanakaya, then the fourth kaya. So the four kayas, they are the Guru. That's the meaning here. Then next is the meditation on the Four Immeasurables. So that's basically meditating on loving kindness, giving rise to loving kindness or friendliness, giving rise to compassion, giving rise, cultivating joy, and then cultivating equanimity. Equanimity, in Tibetan, Tangnyeom, can also be translated as indifference. But obviously, we're not encouraging you to cultivate indifference. You cultivate a loving, friendly demeanor to any and all. Yeah, so this first love, metta or maitri, it's not exactly, like sometimes when we get in the religious mode, so to say, then you hear about love, then you think it has to be that self-sacrificing love, the love that transcends ego. Yeah, you develop that, of course. But the starting point, the literal meaning of Maitri or Metta in Pali is this warmness of heart, this friendliness. Like with no ill will towards anyone, with friendliness and loving care. So founder of our lineage, Kyopa Jigden Simgan, he says, if you want to know what are we talking about when we say Maitri, he says, it's when a mother sees that her child is playing happily. In that moment, how she feels towards the child, what she's wishing for the child. That is what we say metta is. He says, okay, now you take that and you extend that to everyone you see. You wish that towards everyone. Then he said, when we say compassion, what are we talking about? Again, when you get in the religious mode, we say compassion, you think big, right? You think you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to save the world. So Kyopa Jigden Simgan, he says, compassion is that feeling that you naturally have when you see someone. In his own time, the most terrifying disease you could catch was leprosy. So he used that example. He says, when you see a leper suffering, you immediately, the feeling that comes up is, I don't want this person to suffer. I don't, stop. Almost you want to almost order the person suffering to stop, He says that's natural. He says nobody needs to teach us that. Yeah, just like the first one, nobody needs to teach us that. He say, okay, now that sentiment, now apply to everyone. Especially when people are behaving in stupid ways. When we see them doing stupid things, instead of judging them, say, look at how they're suffering, Look at how they're suffering. I don't want them to have this suffering, Then joy, he says, joy is what are we talking about here when we say joy? Joy is that feeling when you are reunited with someone you have not seen, someone that you're very fond of, that you have not seen. I think he used the example of like relatives. So you may not be fond of your relatives. Just think of something else, someone else. Some relatives are a little bit complicated, right? So a long lost friend, that that feeling of joy. It says, okay, now wish that on everyone. Then equanimity, this equanimity is here defined as free from the bias of attachment and aversion. See, the first three sentiments, you could cultivate those feelings, but if you cultivate them in a biased way, meaning you divide the world into my people, their people, right? There are big divisions of my people and their people, like Asians and Westerners. Maybe you have that kind of division. Then among Westerners, you're like Eastern and Western Europe, or those divisions all the way down to within your own kind of dealings with others. People I like, people I don't like. You can cultivate a lot of love and compassion and joy for my people, and knowingly or unknowingly cultivate the opposite feelings for not my people. I have a lot of love over here for my people. I wish bad things on other people. not my people. I have a lot of compassion, you know? Without getting into tricky situations, without naming names, think about, you know, how because I love, I have compassion, I experience joy with my people, and if my people are harmed, I do whatever, right, to stop or destroy the harm. Not judging, I'm just saying this is how we operate. So if we don't cultivate like free from bias of attachment and aversion, even love, compassion, and joy can lead to a lot of problems and suffering in this world. The minute we feel that my side is being harmed, it's quite normal, you know, but that is the problem. You know, it is quite normal. If my family is being harmed, you know, and if I see that there is no solution but to harm who is harming my family, so there you have it, you know, all the mess that we see in the world. It's not so hard to understand, you know? So this is our samsaric situation. In some ways, these four immeasurables, you can see the first three as the what we call the accumulation of merit, and the fourth as the accumulation of wisdom. Yeah? That equanimity, free from bias of attachment and aversion, is equanimity. So how is it different from indifference? Indifference comes from a place of confusion, of a kind of blankness of mind, like I don't care. You know, that's indifference, right? You know, I don't care. Equanimity comes from a place of understanding. That we all taste the same to worms. Maybe vegans taste better, I've heard, to the worms. So if you are, good for you. The worms will be happier. So these are, you know, so with wisdom, then we cultivate merit. And merit is love, compassion, and joy. So then these are the two wings of enlightenment. You know, we say Buddha, Buddha, Buddha. Well, of course, there's the historical person we call Buddha, but we are all striving to be Buddha, to be awake. And then, what does it mean to be awake? It means the perfection of wisdom. It means the perfection of merit. You know, these are the two accumulations that we build up and build up and build up until it boils over. That is when we are awake. That is when we are Buddha. 107. So we have already chanted these four immeasurables at the beginning, so I don't need to repeat. In the state of emptiness, the non-referential nature of all phenomena, on the seat of lotus, sun, moon, and corpse, one's mind as a brilliant red bomb turns into Vajrayogini, red complexion, radiating with empty bliss, wrathful in demeanor, with three eyes gazing towards the sky, right hand with a Khatri, left holding a blood-filled Kapala,
Her mouth is slightly open, tongue curled back and making the sound hem.
And
Protruding from the right of her face is the face of a black sow. She is in the form of a 16-year-old with breasts swelling with bliss and adorned with the 5 bone ornaments and wearing garlands of flowers and heads joyfully. Her right hand holds aloft a Vajradhara tree pointing towards the sky. Her left holds a blood-filled kapala directly in front of her navel center. And held under her arms is glorious Heruka in the form of a katwanga, dancing with her left leg standing upright and right bent, arisen with swelling red lights of empty bliss. Then above her head in an expanse of 5-colored rainbow lights on a jeweled throne supported by lions, elephants, horses, peacocks, and garudas in the center of a lotus free from the faults of samsara, and on a sun and moon that eliminate the sufferings of cold and heat, the exalted mind of sovereign Vajradhara with the 7 attributes, the totality of the exalted speech, of the dharma of emptiness, of the perfection of wisdom, the exalted body of the perfect Buddhas possessing the 10 powers, is Jigten Sumgun, embodiment of the 3 jewels, Lord of the teachings, victorious, rich, impel, presence of the Dharmakaya, pleasing to those trainable, Sambhogakaya, blazing with the splendor of the major and minor marks, and Nirmanakaya, glowing with reddish white light, Lord of the teachings, wearing the 3 Dharma robes, a sleeveless shirt with the 7 noble riches, a meditation hat symbolizing ceaseless empowerment, and the golden skirt of the complete 9 vehicles, right hand subduing the hordes of Maras by touching the ground, left in the mudra of the samadhi of immovable meditative equipoise. He sits in the Vajra posture, free from the extremes of samsara and nirvana. To his right and left are thrones, and on seats of lotus and moon, Avalokita in person, the Bodhisattva himself, Koncho Ratna, dressed as a bhikshu, holding a crystal mala and a stalk of lotus with his 2 hands. To the left is Choki Drakpa in the form of a bhikshu with the 3 dogs, Manjushri Saraha in person, holding a vajra and bell and a sex and sword on lotuses. Both of them are wearing the meditation hat, symbolizing changelessness. They are like reflections of the one moon dancing on many waters. They are accompanied by the 85 accomplished masters of India and by an ocean of Kagyusiddhas of Tibet, gathered in the main and intermediate directions, like immeasurable clouds with Jah, the hook of faith, draws in the wisdom beings from the expanse, with whom they arrive as the support of joy and kindness for wandering beings. With balm they abide as the joy of limitless compassion. With hope fro they move with a smiling demeanor, taming and caring for wandering beings with compassion. Please stay here with delight for the sake of wandering beings. I respectfully pay homage with fierce and longing faith of the three types to you, the glorious Guru, Lord of the four kayas. With my body, speech, and mind I make offerings of all these established things, outer, inner, and other, the one who offers that which is offered, and the act of offering are indivisible. This being so, I make this offering of the great single taste, free from elaborations. Grant me the accomplishment of effortlessness. I lay bare the impairments and breakings of the vows of the three vehicles, and rejoice in your liberating deeds. Please turn the wheel of Dharma in accordance with the capacities of those to be trained, and remain here for as long as samsara has not been emptied. I dedicate the merit accumulated in the three times to the welfare of wandering beings.
In the next section, we supplicate or pray to the lineage, masters, to the in Sanskrit it's parampara. So this lineage, it's how we connect to the source. So the source here is called Dharmakaya, Great Vajradhara. Great Vajradhara is Buddha Shakyamuni in the tantric of Vajrayana aspects. So whenever Buddha Shakyamuni was teaching the tantras, it's said to be taught from the level of Vajradhara. So don't misunderstand here and think, oh, Great Vajradhara, and then here it says, I supplicate the 85 Indian Mahasiddhas. Then you think, oh, somehow we have a different Buddha. We're not saying that. It's in a different aspect. So 113. I supplicate you, the Dharmakaya, great Vajradhara of the sixth family. I supplicate you, the 85 Indian Mahasiddhas. I supplicate you, Tili Pranyabhadra. I supplicate you, Narodjana Siddhi. I supplicate you, Marpa of Lodra, the translator. I supplicate you, Mila Shepa Dorje. I supplicate you, Dao Shonu of Dapo. I supplicate you, the three Siddhas of Kam. I supplicate you, Dorje Gyalpo of Padru. I supplicate you, Jesun Dorje Peldra. I supplicate you, Supreme Refuge, Jigten Sumgum. I supplicate you, Dharma Lord Ratna Shri. I supplicate you, Kenchen Sutrin Dorje. I supplicate you, Onchen Sonam Drakpa. I supplicate you, Chenga Drakpa Jungne. I supplicate you, Chungmo Dorje Drakpa. I supplicate you, Toka Rinjin Senge. I supplicate you, Samche Drakpa Sonam
I supplicate you, Chuni Dorje Rinjin. I supplicate you, Toku Dorje Gyopo. I supplicate you, Nirni Choki Gyopo. I supplicate you, Shenyin Dondro Gyopo. I supplicate you, Rinjin Pelki Gyaltsen. I supplicate you, Chogyal Rinjin Pelzon. I supplicate you, Rixin Choki Gatso. I supplicate you, Gyalwang Kunga Rinchen. I supplicate you, Jesum Rinchen Punso. I supplicate you, Rinchen Nampar Gyalwa. I supplicate you, Penchen Pelgi Gyaltsen. I supplicate you, Chogyal Nampar Gyalwa. I supplicate you, Songme Chogyal Punso. I supplicate you, Drukchen Tashi Punso. I supplicate you, Jesum Koncho Rinchen. I supplicate you, Rixin Choki Trapa. I supplicate you, Koncho Trinle Namgyal. I supplicate you, Koncho Trinle Sampo. I supplicate you, Trinle Donjo Chogya. I supplicate you, Konjo Tenzen Jodo. I supplicate you, Tenzen Choki Nima. I supplicate you, Kyabda Peme Gyalsen. I supplicate you, Jamyan Choki Gyalsen. I supplicate you, Druwan Choki Gyalsen. I supplicate you, Rinchen Tempe Tegen. I supplicate you, Gyalwang Tukje Nima. I supplicate you, Rigzin Nuden Dorje. I supplicate you, Jesun Choki Lodro. I supplicate you, Gyalcho Siwe Lodro. I supplicate you, Jesun Dharma Kara. I supplicate you, Trisab Tenzin Tupten. I supplicate you, the Dapoka, you protectors of wandering beings. I supplicate you, my kind root Guru.
This next section, in many ways, I feel is at the core of this practice. Because in this section, the entire path to awakening and the faults that we are going to encounter on that path is laid out very clearly. In fact, it is done in to point out the ironies. So you'll see, it says here, for example, although I'm supposed to meditate on impermanence, I still just kind of waste my time away. Although I'm supposed to, although I'm cultivating, a clear sense of karma, understanding what is cause and what is effect, I still create the causes for suffering. Although I'm supposed, to be loving and caring, I still divide the world into those I like, those I don't like. So this supplication is a beautiful one. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane. Although I meditate on the rarity of the freedoms and endowments, I still squander away my life. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane. Although I meditate on impermanence and death, I still fixate on composite phenomena as permanent. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane. Although I meditate on the unmistaken nature of cause and effect, I still pervert what to adopt and what to abandon. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion,
reckless and mundane, although I meditate on the sufferings of cyclic existence, I still take the way to the lower realms. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I safeguard the vows of individual liberation, I still lack renunciation and the determination to be free. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on all wandering beings as my parents, I still have bias attachment to friends and aversion for enemies. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I cultivate loving kindness and compassion, I still hold on to envy and enmity. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I cultivate aspiration and action, bodhicitta, I still focus only on my own welfare. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on my body as the deity's exalted form, I still cling to ordinary perception. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I have counted the mantras to be recited, I still waste away my life force. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I cultivate the samadhi of moon in the water, I still solidify things as real and substantial. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I conclude by dissolving in the subsequent stage, I still purify and confess superficially. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on my own mind as free from elaborations, I still have conceptual attitudes. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I cultivate not grasping at whatever arises, I still affix an artificial watchfulness. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I cultivate resting freely in the natural state, I still amplify artificialities. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, although I meditate on unity beyond conceptions, I still get carried away by the masses of likes and dislikes. Look upon me from afar with eyes of compassion, reckless and mundane, I supplicate you who are my refuge and protector in this and all other lives, physician who removes the chronic diseases of samsara, hero who vanquishes the enemies that are afflictive emotions, sun which dispels the darkness of ignorance, moon that protects from the heat of suffering, jewel which fulfills all our needs and desires, you Guru who are all-inclusive, all-sufficient, I supplicate you from the depths of my heart, with compassion swiftly heed me, effortlessly bestow your blessings, grant me now and on this sea the naturally accomplished feast of the two benefits. I am endowed with merit and devotion. Do not leave my hopes unfulfilled. Don't cast away my devotion in vain. Don't let my supplications vanish unanswered. Don't be indifferent with your compassion. Refuge and protector in this life, in the intermediate state and beyond. Whatever occurs, joy or sorrow, good or bad, only you are my hope. Look upon me with eyes of compassion. You alone are my hope.
For this morning, from here we go to the receiving of the four empowerments. So please turn to page 134. At the very bottom of 134. Hear, O sublime, glorious Guru, from your forehead center white lights emanate, dissolving into my forehead immediately, fully cleansing my body and my waking state of their obscurations, and planting the seed for the Nirmanakaya, the exalted body Vajra. The Guru's exalted body and my body are inseparable. This is the indestructible appearances, emptiness, Kaya Siddhi. Hear, O sublime, glorious Guru, from your throat center red lights emanate, dissolving into my throat immediately, fully cleansing my speech and my dream state of their obscurations, and planting the seed for the Sambhogakaya, the exalted speech Vajra, the Guru's exalted speech and my speech are inseparable. This is the indestructible sound, emptiness, Vaka Siddhi. Hear, O sublime, glorious Guru, from your heart center the lights emanate, dissolving into my heart immediately, fully cleansing my mind and my deep sleep state of their obscurations, and planting the seed for the Dharmakaya, the exalted heart Vajra. The Guru's exalted heart and my mind are inseparable. This is the indestructible clarity, emptiness, Citta Siddhi. Hear, O sublime, glorious Guru, from your navel center golden lights emanate, dissolving into my navel immediately, fully cleansing my equipoise mind in the moment of transition of their obscurations, having ripened the Swabhavika Kaya, the three primordial wisdom Vajras, and my body, speech, and mind are inseparable. This is the indestructible bliss, emptiness, Sarva Siddhi. Hear the clarity new
dissolves like breath on a mirror disappearing. The glorious Guru's exalted body dissolves,
and furthermore turns into beautiful masses of
five colored lights, resplendent like 100,000 suns. These lights dissolve into oneself. Immediately you are blazing in various colors of light. Bright lights and rainbows fill the 3,000-fold universes. This is the indivisible unity of clarity and emptiness, just as it is primordially free from elaborations. The great middle way, seal and perfection. Don't be confused by the names, their meanings are identical. The indivisible unity of primordial wisdom. Eva Maya Alalaho.
By the virtues collected
in the 3 times by me and the entirety of samsara and nirvana, may I and all sentient beings quickly attain the unsurpassed, perfect, complete, precious Bodhi.
Okay, so we are done with the morning session. For the next session, His Holiness say, please dress in a relaxed way. So if you have your sweatpants, go put it on. If you have shorts and you're not afraid of the cold, put it on. Because today's program is the yogic exercises. So you need flexibility. So put away all your religious stuff back in the room. Come back here, before 10. And His Holiness is coming out at 10.